All right, welcome everybody to the Clouded Structure 2023 Shareholder Meeting. We're in glorious Truckee, California, Lake Tahoe. I think you can see the Truckee Airport behind us and some mountains back there. This is kind of our retreat from Silicon Valley. We will chat here for a minute or two while people join in. Looks like the room's still filling up. Let's see, I moved up here after the COVID lockdowns. I had a quarter century in Silicon Valley. Startups, General Magic, Google, SoftBank back company I started, all kinds of things. And let's see, the lockdowns were March?
Yep, March.
March, right? Yeah, and then
2021.
I was house shopping in April because I was an impatient jerk-off who didn't want to stay in Silicon Valley when they closed the parks and the beaches and the hiking trails and all that sort of stuff on top of the offices and the bathrooms. So that was March. April, I was house shopping up here in Tahoe where I lived before. May, I was in contract. I moved in June. And Lauren, you were here.
I was an early bird. I came here 15 years earlier, so I was ahead of the pack.
And you were a Silicon Valley tech
I was
career
Silicon
person
Valley too.
Yeah. And Greg, you're still.
I'm still slumming in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's a rough duty, but somebody has to do it.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, your house is worth more than ours. So. Anyway, all right. So with that, let's kick off the meeting. From a logistics standpoint, we're going to have Q&A going at the end. We're going to try and get through. And we're leaving chat open. I think a lot of companies close off the chat, so you can't have one guy kind of dominate the chat or start throwing around cuss words or anything. We're leaving it open. We trust everyone to be good adults. And I think it's important for our investor community to have a chance to interface with each other and hear what each other has to say about it. So we're leaving that open. And we hope it works out for us. And we have a legal disclaimer, which I'm going to leave to Greg.
Required, obviously, by all of our lawyers. We will pause here for a few minutes to let you guys read this if you want, or as you most likely will just ignore it all. But it is actually some fairly important things from an investor perspective to be aware of when you're investing in early stage companies. Most importantly, please open your the chat room in Zoom. We will have posted there links to our investment docs. One click and you can go and see all the details from our filings. That's very important if you're going to invest, that you have read all the information that we put out there. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Rick and we'll begin the presentation.
Yeah, I'll say this while the screen is up and everyone has a chance to keep reading it. I was a physics major at Berkeley, and one of my favorite quips after working in Silicon Valley for a whole career, especially on startups, is that the longest distance between any 2 points in the universe is from an entrepreneur to money. You know, just things are always overwhelmingly against the startup. You really have to have something special and some kind of magic that we think we have here to make things work. But more fail than are successful. Invest wisely, right? And with that, here's what our agenda is going to be. I'm going to kick it off. I'll turn it over to Lauren for a sales and marketing update, Greg on financials, and then I'll close it out. And so without further ado, we spent a lot of time and effort investing in our technology in 2022. We recognized an opportunity early in the year with our largest customers for what we're calling remote guarding. It's really the line between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. Cameras are almost always used reactively and not proactively. They're a forensic tool, not a crime prevention tool, right? You come back to your office and you find out you got broken into last night. You use the cameras to see what happened. The cameras typically have not been used to prevent that thing from happening in the first place. And that's the change that we're making. And the way we've done that is it would be too much for humans to watch all the cameras. If you have 1,000 cameras, you can't watch them all. You can't ask a guard to watch cameras for 8 hours a day and be coherent about anything at the end of the day. So at the same time, you can't have a computer watch all the cameras. Computers get things wrong a lot too. Computers lack nuance in things like the difference between people fighting and dancing. That's something a computer has a hard time sorting out, or someone using their key on a stuck lock versus jimmying the door with a screwdriver, right? That's too much of a subtlety for a computer to pick up. But humans are good at that part. So we have this line between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. And the computer does all the boring stuff en masse. Hey, there's someone at this location at night, or someone has stepped off the path and into the bushes and is approaching a window. Now I'm just a dumb computer, so I'm going to flip these over to the remote guard center, to the humans who can figure out the subtleties. And so the humans can then see, oh, that person who came by at night swiped the card and went inside. Or they spent 10 minutes walking around the building and threw a rock through a window, right? So likewise, people have been walking down the sidewalk all day. That's all fine. But now someone has stepped into the bushes to pick up trash, or stepped in the bushes to try and open a window, right? And that's where the remote guards become involved. And then lastly, because everything for us is in the cloud, it scales really well. There is no customer size we can't take on. We got almost infinite scalability, and that's been great for our sales prospects. So with that, let me talk through our superior technology stack here. This looks a little bit like spaghetti. In 30 seconds, you're all going to be experts, though, so stay with me. On the left side of the screen, we have cameras and speakers. I'm going to get to the speakers last. They're important. Then we have what we call a CVR. Now, back in the day, we had VCRs. That was, we're old enough to know what a VCR is, but some of you may not be. Used to have this thing that's on top of your TV, because you could put things on top of a TV because they were flat and they were, anyway. You put the tape in the VCR to record from the cameras at the gas station or whatever, and that was where the video got recorded, on a big video cassette tape. That was a VCR, video cassette recorder. And then that went to the DVR, the digital video recorder, where the cassette tape was just replaced by hard drives. And then it went to the NVR, the network video recorder. It was the same thing as a DVR, but had a Ethernet jack in the back, and it hosted a web server, so you could log into it remotely, which that just makes the IT people nuts, and for good reason. It means you're running a web server from your corporate network, and that's just a horrible idea from a security standpoint. So we have what we call the CVR, the cloud video recorder. It talks to all the cameras, and it phones home to us over a secure HTTPS outbound connection. Bunch of techno garbage, but it means it's really secure and really standard, and it almost always works. So once it gets to the cloud, we store the video, we run it through computer vision. Now, our competitors, for the most part, are trying to do computer vision on premises, on a Windows PC. And it's just not very good at it. The horsepower isn't there. Even worse, a lot of competitors now are trying to run video analytics, computer vision, on the cameras. And they got this teeny little chip that, if they make it twice as big, it costs 4 times as much to ship that camera, right? We get all the video to the cloud. And once it's in the cloud, we've got access to just the biggest, most powerful computational engines you can get, these graphic processing units in big clusters. And we can go through all the video, and we can detect almost every object in the video: person, cat, dog, backpack, car. And we detect a person, we detect a face. If we detect a face, we can recognize the face. We detect a car, we can see if we detect a license plate. If we detect a license plate, we can read the license plate and have the license plate number. And then you can search for all that stuff. And it just makes it much more powerful. But the thing that really changed for us in 2022 is we added on the remote guards. And so they're on the far side of this diagram here you see on the slide. And so again, the computer is doing all the boring work of looking at all the cameras all the time, finding something that looks like it might be a problem, and the humans make the final determination. And because this is all in the cloud, it's all web-based with the client, we don't have some guard center somewhere with a generator in the parking lot, because that's supposed to make them more redundant. But in reality, if someone puts in a new sewer pipe and digs a ditch in the front of the office, they can cut through all the internet cables coming to the building and go offline. And in that big old building with the generator in the driveway, there would be a bunch of Windows machines doing storage and computer vision and call center monitoring software and all that stuff. And all the guards have to be there to do their job. And it's just a very old way to do it. Everything's online now, right? So we have the guard center online, which means a lot of things. One, it's more redundant. No one can drive a backhoe through one driveway and take down our remote guarding, right? Because we have everything up in the cloud. Again, the guards can be anywhere. One site goes down, the guards at the other site pick up the slack. 2, just like they did with pilots, you wouldn't ask a pilot who's normally asleep by 8 p.m. to fly a 3 a.m. flight, right, or a 2 a.m. flight. That's just bad management of humans. You don't want them to be tired at their job. So you wouldn't want guards necessarily in the US, that's not your first choice, to monitor the night shift in the US. You want that to be in a different time zone by guards who are wide awake. It's the middle of their day, right? They're not falling asleep at their desk. I can't tell you for physical guards how many times we've heard, we were paying for physical guards and we find he's asleep at his desk or he's asleep in his car, right? But at least he's asleep at the desk. He's in the lobby still, right? So we get the wide awake guards, and this is all part of our infrastructure, which really makes things superior. Then when it gets to the remote guards, that's when they can talk all the way back through to the CVR. And remember that cameras and speakers on the left? They can talk down to the speakers and do real-time discussion with the people on site there who are causing a problem. You are on remote video. We're dispatching police. You're in a protected area. You must leave now. And if they don't, you in the blue shirt, yes, you, we're watching you right now. We have your descriptions being forwarded to the cops. The guy doesn't have time for that. He's gonna break in the place next door next time, right? So with that, let's take a look at what this looks like in the real world. Hey, you, drop the packages. Yeah, you in the green furry suit. All right, let's take a look at the cloud infrastructure system with a focus on remote guarding. I'm gonna log into a demo account we have here. So no customer data, just our internal stuff. And I can at a glance see what cameras are up and down. I don't have to, go contact people at every site to take a look at the system or log into multiple systems to see what's going on. I go into live view here, and you can see pretty quickly that these are very different locations, right? Most systems, you log into one site, like Hawaii in this case, you can see those cameras, you log out and you log into Tahoe. Here we've got many different sites. Here's a downtown office, here's airport operations, all in one UI. It's pretty darn handy when you've got larger deployments to be in the cloud. Let's set up some notification zones here for remote guarding with Remote Guard Center involved. So I'm going to go to this camera here, this PTZ camera, and I'm going to create two things real quick. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a zone here. And so if anyone is in this zone, we'll get an alert. And then I'm going to go and kind of change the shape of this a little bit, maybe from there, let's say over to there, right? Anyone goes in that zone, we'll get notified, save changes. Another type of alert we can throw up here is line crossing. So if anyone goes across this line that way or comes across a line this way, we'll also get notified. Okay, boom, done. All right, so it's pretty easy to set up these notification zones. And then when we're in the actual live viewing dashboard here for the monitoring station. So if we're actually a monitoring station, these are the alerts we would see as they come in. And we can pop in, we can see the alert that triggered it, and then we can take a look and see the live view at the same time. In this case, it was a car going down the road. And I can say, hey, that's just normal behavior, cars do that. And an alarm closed successfully. If it was a real alert, we could do talk downs on the speaker, which we'll show next. And we could also call local guard services, management, residents, whoever's there locally, and would like to do something about it, all the way up to the local police department. All right, so here's what the guard monitoring station sees. He's across two alerts now. We talk down to him. Hey, you, drop the packages. That's not specific enough to get him to stop. So we call out, yeah, you in the green furry suit. And now he knows he's really on video live and he is out of there. All right, so I think that was a great rundown of our surveillance capabilities, focusing on remote guarding, which is the new kind of magic sauce for us. We've been adding on to our surveillance capabilities, besides facial recognition and the way we can do search and Boolean type searches like red, car. We've added on things like gun detection recently. And I'd like you to take a look at what Tyler's been working on here and kind of see behind the curtains how we make things go.
My name is Tyler Munyon. I am on the computer vision team at Cloudastructure, where I've been working on our machine learning projects for about 6 years. Gun detection is a very exciting feature for us because we can really be proactive about security. We had a bit of an advantage when teaching our system to recognize guns, in that we'd made our tagger, which is our object detector system, extensible so that we could easily add new classes if a client or customer needed a new class. We've started with pistols and other common guns. We found data from many different sources. We even had our own CEO, Rick, who was very gracious with his time, walked in front of our video security systems with his guns. And that kind of data is really useful because it's organic and it's out in the real world, which is analogous to how the system will be used out in the wild. We don't intend to ever stop improving, and really the end goal is to make it so that if there is a gun in the frame, it is going to be detected. Obviously, the implications of not detecting can be quite serious.
So as Tyler just showed us, our system is extensible, which means we can add in anything we're looking for. We don't have these static models that we rented from Microsoft or something. We're actually building our own computer vision based on machine learning. And that means that whatever our customers are looking for, their logo, a competitor's logo, things we never thought of before, dogs outside the building because they run a dog care facility, I don't know. Whatever it is, we can go ahead and build that into the system. That applies deeply to remote guarding. You know, that was our real focus for 2022. We pivoted the engineering team to make that their top priority, and I think they really, really knocked it out of the park. We really built something amazing here, and you can see the timeline down below, including all the awards we won. And with that, let's watch a video on remote guarding.
Attention, be advised, you are in live video monitor location. You're being observed by a live agent and all activities are being recorded. The police have been contacted.
Attention, you're being watched and recorded by a live agent. You're in a protected area. You must leave immediately. Authorities are being notified.
Attention, you are being watched and video recorded by a live agent. You're on private property and you must exit immediately.
Attention, be advised, you're in a protected area. You must leave immediately.
Attention, you're being watched and video recorded by a live agent. You're in a restricted area and you must leave immediately. The authorities have been contacted and provided with your description.
All right, so that's remote guarding in a little more serious example than a Grinch stealing your presents. And so with that, I'm going to turn over to Lauren to talk about how remote guarding is selling.
Thanks, Rick. Hi, everyone. So great to see all of you, and thanks for being here and taking the time to hear all the great things we have to share with you today.
How many joined today?
Well, we had over 2,000 people registered, which is amazing. That's a huge percentage of our existing shareholders. I don't know how many are live right now, but just the fact that over 2,000 people signed up is just...
That's great.
It's just great. Thank you guys for your continued interest and support. And your questions, so keep sending them in. You can send them to Rick, I, or Greg at any time. Anytime you have questions, we're happy to answer you guys via email or phone. So I want to talk about the awards, first of all, that we got in 2022. It was a big year for us, and our dev team was working hard, and we secured the Homeland Security Award, which is perhaps the most prestigious security award you can get in the industry. Not only one award, but we got 8 awards last year for excellence in security in AI and ML, for IoT security, and for remote guarding. It was amazing, and our team was all there to get the awards, and it was super fun to be recognized at the ISC East event last year. Additionally, I just want to say that for us to build remote guarding in January of 2022 and to win 2 awards for best monitoring and best remote guarding is truly a feat. And our dev team, just thank you again for your hard work. And it is very well recognized out in the industry today, and it's making a big difference for us here on the sales team. In terms of market potential, I'm sure all of you are aware, being investors, that the public cloud market is a very big market, growing, and the AI market is growing as well. And then, of course, we're in the security market, but we're really in the sweet spot of all of that. These are big, growing markets, and we are, as a leading cloud-based surveillance company, at the forefront, and we're really feeling the pull and demand from customers for cloud video surveillance with superior analytics. The new industry that we're in, because of our remote guarding solution, is really in the guard space. And as you can see here, the man guard business is quite big. It's in and of itself. And what we're seeing in that industry is it's a little bit like when Netflix used to ship you CD?
A DVD.
A DVD. And Netflix started another business because it knew it was going digital, right? And they knew that they were going to go out of business for the DVD, but they kind of kept it up. It's a little bit like that for the man guard business. I mean, I think we'll always have demand for a physical security guard, but people are seeing the benefits of having artificial intelligence and cameras, and being able to see across multiple locations virtually is more powerful than having someone walking around a building. I mean, if something happens on another side of the building where a guard isn't, then they've missed it. Where we can always have eyes on a property, giving safety and security, and complement the guards if necessary. I would, I think I have a sales meeting every day, at least one, where a manned guard company is calling, asking for our virtual guard services. So the potential and the demand is very exciting. In terms of sales momentum, 2022, as Rick mentioned, we essentially focused on remote guarding, and we built our pipeline. We got marquee customers, essentially doubling our customer base from the year prior. And these customers have, on average, over 100 locations. Some of our customers actually have 300 to 500 locations. And we focused 2022 on making sure that the deployment to some of their locations was really top-notch, and made sure that they got the video security surveillance customized to meet their needs. So as we look into 2023, we're now aggressively going to roll out across that customer base that we have to their 100, 200, 300 locations. And so we expect tremendous acceleration of revenue as we deploy more and more sites for that existing base, while at the same time those existing customers are validating us and allowing us to bring larger customers on board as well. And I just want to say thanks to the sales team for this year already. Despite the economy, security tends to buck the trend when it comes to the way the economy works. So security demands go up when the economy goes down sometimes. And our sales bookings are up 20x over last year at this time. So thanks again to the sales team. Lastly, to give some numbers, I don't want to steal Greg's thunder or anything, but our average deal size is up. We now have 2 new products. We have remote guarding and we have cameras. So we are seeing our average deal size up 75% over last year, which makes our sales team happy. It makes our CFO happy. And our margins are higher. Our margins are higher because remote guarding has a higher margin than even our video surveillance solution, and our cameras are quite profitable as well. So good economics to come this year, good growth. And before I hand it off to Greg, just a quick note on our growing customer base. As you can see here, the customers that we have right now are top-notch. And this isn't a startup that is just trying to get customers. This is a startup. We're a startup that have marquee customers right now. We have the traction, and we are now seeing the validation of those customers, and it's snowballing into getting larger and larger customers. So it's a very exciting time to be part of the company. And before I hand it off to Greg, I want to leave you with a couple customer testimonials. Our customers really love working with us, and it's great to get testimonials like this. And here we go. I'll let you hear for yourself.
My name is Alex Alione. I work for Con-Am. We are a apartment owner and investor, and we manage around 50,000 units. There's been an incredibly frustrating situation at one of our apartment communities. Gate had been damaged several times per year. Each time it cost us several thousands of dollars, and we were unable to find who was causing this. Cloudastructure's footage helped us show a car pushing on the gate, which broke it, helped us identify that person, recover the funds, and has prevented this from happening again. I would definitely recommend Cloudastructure to other people in the business.
My name is Brittany Calver. I work for Calver Company. I'm the Vice President and Corporate Secretary. We are a small family business. We own and manage all of our own office buildings and some retail around Portland, Vancouver, Washington, and the suburbs. We could not be proactive or do anything in real time. When we were investigating a newer security system, of course, we were always thinking about our tenants, but I never really thought that I would be using it for myself. I was targeted by I assume a mentally ill woman, but I did know that if something was going to happen, I needed an image of her, and we were just steps away from our front lobby where I knew cameras would be panning out right at her. So I was able just to take a couple more steps, and I knew that I then had my image of her. So I was most grateful to have Cloudastructure in our building, definitely at that moment.
And that's always great to hear and see. We love that. So with that, let's turn it over to Greg.
All right, thanks, Rick. And again, welcome all. Here to talk briefly about some of the financial bits of our company. So, but before I get into those specifics, I want to talk a little bit about the SaaS model, right? We are a software as a service company. We don't sell big package software. We don't sell big, although we are selling a little bit in the hardware and cameras, but our core business is selling something that you get a little bit of money every month, just like Netflix, just like your cable company. And as you build up that customer base, you've got a very strong, healthy infrastructure to support your financials. And that's what we are in the process of doing. So as Lauren mentioned earlier, we doubled our customer base in 2022. Now we're trying to take that larger customer base and expand out to their hundreds of offices and really ramp things up in 2023. That's going to be aided by the fact that we're selling more. Instead of just the video surveillance, we're adding the remote guarding, very, very exciting feature, as well as a little bit of hardware sales on the cameras. 75% of our proposals that are going out today have remote guarding in them. It's a feature that's really in demand. It's something that the customers have really pulled from us, which is exactly what you want to be selling. Because of your great support, though, we still have a good cash balance. All this development does take a lot of money. Leading edge AI, ML, not the cheapest thing to deploy, but you guys have been fantastic in supporting the company. We still have strong balance sheet with $9.4 million in cash at the end of 2022. And speaking of fundraising, you guys have been fantastic, and it continued last year. We raised $8.4 million, either through our new offering or through those warrants, which are really, just a great chance for you guys to get in at lower prices from when you purchased before. So we started our fundraising back in 2020 at $1 a unit. Great price back then. We have since then moved the price from $1 to $1.20. It's now at $2. That was our what we did last year in May of last year. Still continuing to sell through. It's fantastic. We really appreciate your support. And look forward to more support in the future. And with that, I'll go back to Rick as he sort of highlights some of the things that we're doing on the fundraising side.
Yeah, as Greg mentioned, we've raised over $35 million total, which is fantastic. Thank you again, everyone, for that. As I've mentioned before, there's nothing riskier than a startup, right? And we've been there and done that. This is not our first rodeo. All the odds are against us. We appreciate you being with us, and we're determined to make it work. We're still keeping the round open at last year's prices because, well, the market's changed a little bit, right? We see a lot of things happening at the end of 2022. Economic slowdown, on the Silicon Valley side of things. We see blood in the streets when it comes to layoffs, et cetera. We've already run a pretty tight ship. We're continuing to run a very tight ship. And we're not here to just keep raising money. We're here to get sales and grow the business and become wildly profitable and successful and return a great return to everybody. That is our goal without a doubt. And we're doing everything we possibly can for that, and we think it's going really well. So we're keeping the round open, not because we have a cash crisis, but we're keeping the round open because it just de-risks the business. The biggest risk to any startup is access to capital, right? So we're not being greedy and saying, hey, let's raise the price every single year. And even though we take less money, we're giving away less to the company. We really almost don't care how much the company give away. I'd rather have 1% of something than 100% of nothing, right? So we're really in the business of building this business and making it wildly successful. And we appreciate your support on that. And you've all been fantastic. Couldn't ask for anything more. Again, we're keeping the round open. It's not a big urgency for us. Just the more capital we have, the less risky it is for all of us, right? So if you want to re-up, please do. You got friends who might want to invest, invite them. And if not, that's okay too. But we appreciate your support either way.
Gift portal?
What's that?
Gift portal?
Oh, yeah. So thank you, Greg. So we have a gift portal open where this was pretty popular actually the end of last year. I used it for my niece and nephew and son. I bought them some shares in Cloudastructure. You can actually give the gift of investment, which is probably better than buying them a PlayStation, right? They'll get more out of it. It'll make them wiser to a larger world, right?
They might not like it as much, but
They may not like it as much, right? You may be slightly less popular now, but you'll be their favorite aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, whatever later. And if you just go to buycloudshares.com, you can see all the wonderful disclosures Greg has wanted to make sure that you read, as well as the investment opportunity for Cloudastructure. And with that, let's turn over to Q&A. We're back. We're live. All right. Hey, everybody. All right, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming in. Let's see. I'm gonna cheat on Lauren's computer here. A lot of questions about going public and IPO. Totally understand the thirst for that. We share that thirst. We're not gonna make real money off this deal until we get the stock to be worth something. So that is a big focus of ours. Now, you may have noticed what the markets have been doing lately, right? And you may not think this is the perfect time to IPO. A couple years ago, it was pretty frothy, even a year ago. Right now, I think we need some fundamentals, some increased revenue and stuff we're working on right now for it to be just the right time to do it. That said, the first rule about Fight Club is you can't talk about Fight Club. The SEC is pretty clear. If you're playing an IPO, you can't really talk much about it. So we are plotting our future very carefully. Let's put it that way. And we're taking all factors into consideration as we do it. I would like it to be tomorrow. That'd be awesome. It won't be tomorrow, but that we are gunning for it. All right, what else we got?
this one or this one.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions about hardware that had come in too. I was noticing in the other chat, and I'll pop back to the ones on top of the Q&A. We don't make the cameras and we don't make the CVRs, the cloud video recorders. The cloud video recorders run on any computer, any x86 class computer, Intel, AMD, whatever. Whatever you buy and slap Windows or Linux on it, they run on that. We use Linux for them. It's all free open source software on them. So we don't pay third-party licensing when we build a CVR. We build it and ship it, and we get all the value out of it. And that's some hardware margin. That's an upfront part of the sale. So that's some immediate revenue that we get to recognize as well. The cameras we've started selling in with the sales team now,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
They're not our cameras. It's really important we work with any camera. If we just had our particular camera, like some of our competitors do, and some do pretty well with that, they get a little more margin that way off of it, but they're locking the customer into their camera solution. And very, very pointedly, we do not do the computer vision on camera. We do that in the cloud. That's why ours is better, frankly. We just got bigger computational engines there. And I saw a question also go by about the GPUs. We're on RTX 3090s. We deployed them last year, so the 4000 series wasn't out yet. They're liquid cooled. We do 7 of them per 4U box for all the nerds out there. That's a lot. They need 2 power supplies and everything to run that kind of load. We max them out. When we do, you need to build for peak load, not average load, right? The average is lower, but when we have free time on our own GPUs, we use them for training the computer models. So we max those things out and we heat the boxes up pretty good. We also are hosted at Google Cloud Platform. My former employer is Google. And so we, it was kind of a natural fit to host things there. They also opened up open source TensorFlow back in 2015. And that was the first machine learning platform to really hit the market with some popularity. And we jumped on that one pretty early. We've since moved on to other things, but some deep roots of stuff there.
I can answer this one.
Yeah, please.
So the question is what are the next features that customers are looking for? I would say we're seeing a lot of interest in gun detection, which we touched on in the presentation. People are really looking for early warning signs for gun detection. Additionally, with remote guarding, more features on remote guarding. Basically, people want to monitor the guards in addition to the building.
Yeah, who watches the watchers?
Yeah,
right?
who's watching the watchers? Are they doing a good job? Are they responding quickly? That kind of thing.
Are they stealing stuff?
Right.
That happens. With the chemical industry regulated by CFAT, seems like an industry that would benefit from the product, such large clients with large dollars. But yeah, that could be good. I don't know anything about that vertical in particular. I don't think we have anyone on our sales team who's too familiar with it either. I'd love to hear more about it. Lauren, maybe someone on your team can follow up with Tim.
Yeah, we definitely can. Especially Tim, if you have some contacts in that particular vertical.
We love leads.
Yep.
We gotta feed those salespeople like feeding baby birds. So you gotta give them the leads.
Yeah.
They squeak and squawk. All right, looks like most of the questions are coming over on the chat side of things.
Yeah.
Are we selling globally?
Yeah, so we are selling globally. Actually, we're making significant traction in Latin America. You may have seen a press release that went out a couple months ago. We have some opportunities there, and we hope to announce a few more coming up in the next month or so. So Latin America and also in Canada have some great partnerships going on in Canada as well. Our main focus, though, is the U.S. and continues to be the U.S.
Yeah. Who are your top competitors? So let's see. I think they go into different categories. There's the old on-premises solutions. So you have a Windows machine running software, and you get that from Milestone or some other vendors. I think Access Communications to make cameras also makes some NVR software. Mm-hmm. There's other cloud providers. Not many, though. Most of the other ones on the cloud side, I've seen some of the questions come through, are more consumer-based. Ring doorbell camera, Wemos, some other ones, right? They are storing, in many of those cases, a video in the cloud. Many of those are also fake cloud. And what we call fake cloud is, it looks like cloud, it's not cloud. Okay, so what's an example? You make it so people log into their cameras to see their own video. That's how Cisco/Meraki does it, right? It's fake cloud. It's not real cloud. They're not hosting the video. If the building blows up or burns down, all the video's on those cameras and all that video's gone, right? Vigilon and others have this kind of fake cloud arrangement. We're real cloud. It's in our name. We move the video into the cloud. The building blows up or burns down. Someone comes in and says, give me all the recordings. We still have all the recordings, right? On top of that, we have the bigger computational engines to run all the video through, rather than try and do it on a bunch of little chips out on cameras in the field. There's probably there's on camera, fake cloud, and yeah, there's there's not much else in the way of
The only
real
one I could
cloud.
think of is there is another competitor that started with a cloud-based architecture. But mostly what they have at this point in time is cloud storage, not sophisticated AI analytics like we have. In fact, they typically use an AI plugin for their analytics. So they haven't really had the time to build the sophisticated analytics that we've had over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, I'll tell a quick little 1-minute story. When we first started doing computer vision, Microsoft had a deal where if you were one of the top startups, they would give you $360K worth of free services on Azure, and we like free, and it was $360K worth of stuff. So of course we took it, right? We've already built our back end on Docker, and it's otherwise containerized, so we can push it to any host we want, right? So we just push it to Azure and run it there. Start using their computer vision, and it was an unmitigated disaster. It's all machine learning, and we say something like, "Hey, it keeps thinking that mailbox in front of the camera is a car. So how do we train it?" They go, "Oh, well, we don't give you access to the training models. You're the unwashed customer, right? You're just of the masses." And so we said, okay, this is not going to work at all. We have to do our own training and stuff. So that was our kind of first venture into computer vision. This was a long time ago now, probably getting close to a decade. But that's when we decided we need to do all this stuff in-house. All right. VC backing. So I've done the VC route before. VCs are really good at making sure they get all the money. And I don't think I would inflict VCs upon us at this time. That includes all of our shareholders, all of you. And here's why. VCs come in, and by the way, the last company I started was backed by SoftBank and eventually bought by Uber. And for an undisclosed sum that's widely reported to be about $50 million, right? So, and that was after a merger and some other stuff, right? So I'd been a little bit washed out along the way. Anyway, but the VCs come in, the first thing they do, and Greg, you've been a VC before.
I was a VC for 20 years, so yes, I'm quite familiar with.
He's a
with
real
what they
human
do.
now.
I've left the dark side.
Yeah, I know lots of jokes about VCs, and none of them are fit for broadcast. So, and that should tell you something about VCs. They come in, and the first thing they say is, okay, basically we run the company now. You can't sell any stock, you can't take on any debt without our approval, and we've got liquidation preferences. So when the company gets sold, we get all the first money that comes out. The company goes public. Everyone else is locked up for a long period of time. We might be able to get out sooner. They just have all of these restrictions that come with it. They're just really, really good at making sure they get paid. And we've had...
It's their job.
That's their job.
It's their job, is to get paid. And they get paid first, and they get paid before everybody else.
And we can't fault them for that. If I could do the same, I would. We've had such, a Reg A Plus is often called a mini IPO. We're much closer to the public markets. We have very similar reporting requirements and stuff as a public company. And we've enjoyed such great support from all of you that if we keep it up, we never need to go the VC route. And I think that's our first choice. If it happens later and we spin it as a positive, remember this and hit me with it, okay?
How about this one, Amazon Enterprise Security Monitoring?
I don't know how big Amazon Enterprise is. The Ring, Amazon bought Ring? Who bought
so.
Ring? Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't pay a lot of attention to the consumer side. It's hard enough if you want to sell 1 to 3 cameras to someone's house. It's harder, it's a little less hard to sell 10 to 100 cameras to someone who has 1 building. But it's a lot easier to find someone who has hundreds of buildings. Sell to them one time and then roll it out, right? It's almost the same amount of sales effort.
Yeah, and that actually answers one of the questions, which is what is our target market? And it's really the multi-site, hundreds of locations. It's just as easy to sell to them as it is the smaller customer, and it's a lot more revenue.
It's even easier because our product's a better fit. So you've got, how many cameras do you add until you can't see anything? 10? 100? At some point, you just can't watch the cameras anymore. So you need the computer vision, and if you've got lots of locations, you're coordinating with guards and residents and tenants and everything else, then you really need the remote guards too, right? So we really work well at scale, and that's what we're going for. We want to knock down the big ones and take a bunch with them.
Yep, yep.
What else we got in here?
Let's see.
Here's something, edge processing.
Where's that one?
What are your thoughts on edge processing?
Yeah, no, edge processing is interesting. Now, we keep talking about how we do everything in cloud where the big computers are. There is a downside to that, and we fully admit to it. And that is uploading the video to the cloud and then processing it there and then responding back to the site does add always at least a little bit of latency, right? It's not quite as fast. So we are actively working on doing some of the lower computationally intensive tasks on our CVR. And to do that, we'd be putting a GPU into the CVR. We wouldn't just be doing it on CPU. And for those who aren't as nerdy as some, the CPU is the central processing unit, and the GPU is the graphics processing unit. And GPUs are like 100 times better at processing video and graphics and images than CPUs are. So you want to do it on a GPU. So when we get the GPU in the CVR, we can do things like very basic things like line crossing, object detection. We probably wouldn't ever do face recognition at the edge. When you get into the deeper, computationally intensive tasks, I think that always needs to stay in the cloud. But we do see a place for edge processing where you need very low latency, like person approaches the door opens before they get to it kind of thing. That sort of latency, that requires on-premises computing.
Want to talk about patents?
Yeah, we have a patent strategy. The last company I started, I'm named inventor of about a half dozen patents. They cost about, rough numbers, $100,000 each to get through the patent process. If you sell them someday, rough numbers, you can get like $1 million each for them. So they can be helpful to a company. I personally am not a huge believer in imaginary property, but if your business requires patents to keep competitors away, it means you're not as good at running your business as your competitors would be, right? So we have some provisional patents going way, way back. So anyone who says, hey, we're going to patent video surveillance in the cloud, like, hey, we are prior art. We're the last people in the world you want to get in a patent dispute with because we've been around and doing it before people generally even thought about it. But we did engage Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati to start a patent portfolio project for us. Nothing's gone all the way through the process yet. We expect that some will.
Yeah, and the question came in, how do you stay ahead of the competition? I think as Rick touched on, some competitors are doing fake cloud, and as they move to a cloud-based architecture, that's going to take an overhaul of their entire process and product. So I would say they're at least 2 years, maybe even more behind us from a development perspective. And remote guarding, we're way ahead. There's no one doing an integrated solution with remote guarding features.
That we know of.
That we know of. All of them are plugging in different things. So again, I think we're a couple years ahead of them as well.
Yeah, we've seen people go out and buy. We have a competitor who went out and bought a 60-person computer vision team out of India, right? Because they just desperately needed to catch up.
Yeah.
And we say pack a lunch, bring help. We think we're really good at what we do.
Yep.
And we'll take on the competition.
How about that one? Additional acquisitions?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not against buying revenue at this point. We are laser focused on building revenue for 2023. And if we had someone who had the right channel with a reproducible sales model and so we could plug our stuff into, where 2 + 2 = 8, right? They've got 2 units of sales, we got 2 units of sales, but together we're going to make more than 4. I'm all for it. But it's not a focus for us right now. It's a good time in the market right now to be conserving cash, and we are not unaware that means there's going to be some good buying opportunities. We have an open mind, but it's not a focus for us right now. We're focused on our knitting and building our revenue. Someone asked, I have 200 acres. That sounds awesome. Could I use your system to video surveillance my property? So technically, it would work. I have 17 acres in a relatively remote location in Hawaii, and you need to beam in broadband first, then you need to get to all the cameras, and you bring power to them. It's a little tough in a low-density area like that to pull it off. And I don't want to sound dismissive, but you have a hard time getting through our sales team if you don't have 100 locations, right? But if you got 200-acre cannabis farm and you need 200 cameras and you happen to own 12 other farms, we'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you got my email. Greg, do you want to answer the question about, where was it here? I think I saw how many shares are currently outstanding?
Oh, how many shares are currently outstanding? We have approximately 80 million shares outstanding. Most of that is through the Reg A. There was some conversion from earlier loans and a Reg CF we did earlier that were converted, but almost all of the shares outstanding are from our 2 Reg A offerings.
And internal option plans and stuff, right?
Yeah, those aren't outstanding. Those are options.
All right. Interesting thing, everyone talks about share price, share price, share price. Look around at market cap when you're looking at Reg A Plus companies to invest in. I've seen some Reg A Plus companies who are no farther along than we are, who are touting maybe a 10-time market cap than what we have. I've seen companies, early stage revenues, saying they've got over $1 billion in their market cap. That's going to be really hard for you to invest in that company at that price and have them ever go public or sell and make you money, right? We have a relatively low, I believe, market cap. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, so I mean, right now, if you look at, we've got approximately, call it 80 million shares outstanding, and we're currently selling at $2 a unit, which 2 shares of stock plus a warrant. So effectively, that's $1 a unit or $1 a share. So we're roughly an $80 million market cap company.
And like I said, I've seen some at the same stage of us who are raising money, and a lot of money at $1 billion market cap plus. I'm just like...
I don't know how you get multiples off that unless you...
Yeah, and some people may say 80 million is high for where we are, but we're an early stage startup. It's hard to value early stage traction. You can't do it off of multiple revenue and other stuff too. So, but anyway, like as people say, invest wisely, do your diligence, but at some point, look at some other Reg A Plus companies that are raising a lot of money, look at their market caps and look at ours and see which one you think is the better value.
Okay, one question is what strategies have we embarked on to grow brand awareness? And we have a very small marketing team, and
But
thanks,
mighty.
but small and mighty, and thanks to that small team for putting on this webinar today. But the awards are great for awareness in the industry. So people are recognizing who we are. We're also expanding on our SEO, SEM, Google ad strategies and putting some budget towards that. So I think, we're considering where we started from, we're very well recognized in the industry.
But we're also targeting, we're not trying to get global brand recognition with consumers. We're focused on who our target markets
That's
are.
right.
And so within that target market, our mind shares
Yeah.
significantly higher.
Yeah, we're targeting multi-site enterprise properties, and they all talk to one another, and so we're getting very well known within that specific segment.
There's a great book called Crossing the Chasm, by the way. It's a sales
Oh,
strategy where you go across the river, make a beachhead, and expand from there. And that's our Crossing the Chasm strategy is this vertical. And I see are you profitable yet? I really want to be. We are pushing hard to get there. I'm hoping 2023 is our year for that. That would really help the financials and the optics we need for the stuff we were talking about before. So that is a key goal of ours in the near to mid future.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just a question on manufacturing. We have dabbled with the manufacturing industry specifically. There are some key features with respect to safety that requires some development. It doesn't mean we can't do it, but we haven't focused on that vertical as of yet. But that could be one that comes down the line.
Yeah, I actually at one point, this is a while ago now, went and looked at a company that was making foam mattresses. It wasn't like the Purple or Nectar or whatever mattresses that show up in a box. And they had minivan-sized chunks of foam on a turntable, right? It would spin around in the factory. And then they had a saw blade that was as wide as this conference table, just about. It was wider than the block of foam, horizontally like a bandsaw, just whipping around. And that would slice off a layer of mattress, and then it would come around again, the blade would be dropped and go again. And every now and then it would get stuck and someone would try and push on the mattress and just their fingers would come right off, right?
Ugh.
And so we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we could, hey, alert, there's someone in there, right? But it needs to be there's someone in there while the blade is on and the table is moving and a bunch of other inputs need to come through. It ends up being a lot of setup to monitor one camera, right? That's what's hard about it. Whereas the locations we have now, they already have 20, 50, 100 cameras at a location, and we can just take those over and turn them on right away. So, we're kind of focused on that fastest path to rollout. I think it'd be a great market, though. Like I said, I was there at the factory talking about it. I still think there's something there. I think it would be a very different pricing model to pay for all the setup and integration it takes.
Yeah, it's very, very customer specific.
Yeah.
Yep.
Broadband speeds.
Yeah, so broadband speeds. We do need broadband. We are cloud-based, and we're not ashamed of it. Broadband's pretty cheap and easy nowadays. We've seen stuff work over 5G, 4G. I think 3G is too slow. So it can work that way. Our rough number is, do you have 1 megabit per second of upload broadband speed per camera? So if it's a 30 camera solution, do you have a broadband plan that gives you 30 megabits per second or more of upload broadband speed? And it's not always right? Obviously, 30 4K cameras on Times Square with continuous motion and live guards on another stream looking at all the time wouldn't work, right? It's just not enough. You got 8 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound sack in that case, right? It just, the math doesn't work. But just rough numbers for what the average motion per camera is and the usage model is, that's about right. So 100 cameras, 100 megabits, 1,000 cameras, gigabit fiber, right? We got plenty of customers who are on cable, which is terrible asymmetric. It's made to be fast down but slow up. We all saw in the lockdowns, or I think most of us did, how different our cable plans worked when everyone was home on Zoom calls for school and work, right? But anyway, yeah, so about a megabit per second per camera for the upload broadband speed is a rough number. If it's less than that, we get concerned. If it's more than that, we think we're going to be fine.
But broadband is, depending on where you are, and a lot of our locations were, large multi-dwelling units, so they're not rural America. Broadband's much more available. I'm paying $50 a month for 100 megabit upload speed, so it's not an impediment to sales for us.
Right. So Greg, we're getting a lot of questions on how do I exercise my warrants. That's always a good question.
So, how do you exercise your warrants? That is a fantastic question. We have built an online warrant portal, and if you have real questions and you haven't seen an email, you should get an email when your warrants are getting anywhere near to exercise. 9 months out or so. You will go to, just like you invested online, you will exercise your warrants online. If you would like to do it sooner, feel free to send us an email at investorsupport@clouderstructure.com, and we can get you a particular link. And but it's very similar to like I said, the way you invested. Go online, answer a few questions, and exercise your warrants.
I'd like to point out how this process worked before we showed up. People were doing online Reg A pluses before we did ours. We were definitely not the first. And when you invested in one of these companies online, you would get a PDF, basically, of your investment documents. And when it was time to exercise your warrants, you were told to go to Exhibit W or whatever on the stack of documents and print out the warrant exercise form on your printer and fill in the information, how many warrants you want to exercise and what the price is, and write a check for that amount and put it in an envelope with a stamp and mail it in, right? I said, there's just no way we're going to do that. And the industry said, well, no one's got a digital online warrant exercise portal. I said, well, it's time we make one. And if you want our business with our investors, that's how they're going to do it. They're not doing it this old way. And as far as we know, we were the first ones to come up with a digital warrant exercise portal. And we got a really good investor support team. We have 13,000 plus investors now.
14,000.
14,000. So yeah, keeps going up. And so in order to communicate with you all and make sure they do it well, we've got a team of professionals dedicated just a small thing. I mean, we're not paying them full time, right? But we partnered with another entity that's got the right professionals to get you all the information you need. If you call us, we can't actually see, for privacy reasons, your Social Security, your investment, or where you are in the process, but they can. They've got all the procedures and protocols for that, and they're really good at it. So investor support at cloudastructure.com, or call our main number and press whatever number it is for investor support.
I also want to add that our gift portal is probably one of the first in the industry,
I
and
think
it's
it
been
is.
super successful. Kathleen posted in the chat, if you want to give the gift of investment, please do. It's a great idea to kind of pass on investment strategies to those that you love.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe how much it made the lawyers itch to say, we want someone to buy shares for some. You can't do that. I'll bet you can't. I'll bet you can't show me where it says you can't do that. And so that's how that conversation
She's not
started.
a rule breaker.
We follow the rules, but we like to push things
We
forward.
like to push it. That's
right?
right.
We'd all be
That's
mailing
right.
in PDF printouts if it wasn't for us,
That's
right? So,
That's right.
all right, what else we got?
I think that's
We're about
wrapping
it.
it
We're-
up,
we're in an
and we're
hour
at the
here.
top of the hour. So,
Oh, how can you give a gift to someone under 18? You do have to be 18 to own a share. So you can set up a custodial account, which is a bit of a hassle.
I did it for free. It's easy.
But what you can do is you buy it in your name, and then when they turn 18, you just transfer the shares over.
And it all happens like automatically. Or pretty close to it. The one thing I will say is you do need their social security number eventually. We need within 30 or 60 days or something. But you can actually do it without knowing their social security number. Like, I don't have my son's social security number memorized, right? So I had to dig that up later. And my niece and nephew, I have to hit up my sister for that. So, but it's pretty easy peasy. You'll see. Give it a shot.
okay, one last question, Greg. How do people know when their warrants expire?
We have, if you really want to go and research it, you can go back and look at your, when you bought your shares, your warrants are good for 18 months after purchase date. And that is tied to your specific purchase date, not anything else. Once you get within 60 days of your warrants expiring, our automated system will start sending you emails saying, hey, your warrants are going to expire in 60 days. And then you'll get another notification in 30 days. Hey, your warrants are going to expire in 30 days. So we are taking care of you guys, making sure that you are aware of those expiration dates. If you want to exercise, it'll be there. And if you're worried about them, that you might forget or you might not see your emails, feel free to exercise early. Not a problem.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Okay, that's good. I think we got through just about all of them.
Yep.
All the big ones, anyway.
Yeah.
We'll have audited financials coming out in
April.
So we can't say much about the exact specifics. 2022 was getting the customers lined up. 2023 is rolling them out. We expect revenue to be much higher 2023 than 2022. But the audited financials will come out. You can take a look at all the details then. Until then, I get slapped in the head by an attorney if I say stuff that I'm not supposed to, and it hurts really. She's got a big ring and it leaves a red mark. Anyway, anything else?
Nope. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right.
Great
All right.
turnout. You'll get a recording if you missed any of it, and those who didn't participate, they'll get a recording as well. So.
I want to say a big thank you for all of us.
Yeah.
Someone asked how many people. We're about a 40-person team, so we're small but mighty. That the sun never sets on the Cloudastructure empire. We've got Silicon Valley, Tahoe, Montana. We've also got Eastern Europe and India and South America on the team. We go where we can find the best people for the best price. And we just a big heartfelt thanks from all of us for your support, taking the time today to watch us blather up here. We appreciate that, and your investment, and just in the comments. Everyone's been so positive, and we just thank you very much. It really warms our hearts that we have you on board on this journey with us, and we're dedicated to making it a success. Oh, I'm getting pinged by the marketing department here to plug the fact that our next webinar, Future of Computer Vision, will be March 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific. And watch your inboxes for invite to that.
All right.
All right.
Thanks
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.